WebMap is a web mapping application that allows us to query and visualize spatial information over the web. It's a responsive website that responds accordingly to the device that it's being accessed from, and it's got a really easy and intuitive user interface, making it really easy for end users to be able to use the functionality within the web mapping application. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the functionality. So the first thing is the navigation. So what you'll see is if I left click and hold the mouse, we've got a nice big slippy map that allows us to navigate the map accordingly. And if we use our rollerball mouse, what we can do is we can zoom into a particular area that we're interested in, and it'll go through all the different Ordnance Survey data sets or WMTSs that we've got set up to display the data at the appropriate scale. What we can do is we can switch between different base maps. So for example, I've got my zoom stack option in here as well. So if I zoom out, we'll start to see our zoom stack data as well. And you could add your own historic data, maybe a black and white one. You can change that as much as the user prefers. Right at the center of the ribbon at the top, what we have is a quick search toolbar. So this allows us to type in a particular word that we are interested in finding. And what it will do is it will search through multiple different spatial database tables to return an item that it can find. So we've typed in Springfield and it's gone through and said, are you looking for a planning application? Do you mean a village? Are you looking for an address? Or are you looking for a town? And because that's really broad, what I'm then going to do is type in a particular postcode. So that's a postcode that we're interested in. Because that's only associated with an address, it allows us to click on that property and it will navigate accordingly to the appropriate place on the map. What we can then do is maybe we've got details of somewhere we want to go that doesn't necessarily have property details. So maybe this time we want to zoom to a particular site, which we can use the zoom to coordinate button for. So what we do here is we type in the easting that we're after, and then we type in the northing that we're after as well. And what we can do once we've finished, we can say that we want to go, and it will take us to the appropriate place on the map. Once we've navigated to the appropriate place on the map, what we can then do is we can start using the map features that are accessible to us. So maybe I want to turn on my address-based data so that we can see it. Maybe we've got flooding data that's available to us, our OS green spaces data, or maybe we've got our planning applications that are there as well. So all these data formats can come from spatial databases such as PostGIS, Oracle, or SQL, or for example, the OS Green Spaces is a geo package that's being published out to allow users to be able to access it. So it can be flat files such as your traditional shape files, tab files, and map info tiles, as well as the native Cadcorp BDS files as well. Once the user gets to a site that they might be interested in, what they can do is they can click on that particular planning application and they get a nice little summary box that shows them the application reference and the address. If we then say show more, it will bring back the remaining attributes that are being fetched back from the database. So in this example, we've got all our details, and then what we might have is we might have an image that we can click on. We might have a link to a PDF file that shows us an appropriate plan application. You might link to a website. So this will take us to the appropriate place on that plan application website. Or we can actually utilize expressions within the desktop application to maybe show us where the nearest Street View link would be for that particular planning application that we've got available, and maybe have a look around on that site before we go out on site, so that we can kind of do a survey in the office. Okay. What we've also have, so that's our map features. What we also have is our local knowledge. So this is a really powerful part of the product. So rather than coming in and turning on 20 or 30 different data sets to work out the information that we're after, local knowledge allows us to click one button and for us to anticipate what the user wants to display the appropriate information. And it's doing it in 3 ways. So it's doing it using about my property, which in this example is returning a representative. So it's saying within this address, this is your representative, and this is the bin round information that we've got available. It can do statistics. So it's showing us the number of crimes within 1,000 meters, and it's also telling us what the most common crime is within 500 meters that we've got available. And then lastly, it can tell us what the nearest items are. So in this example, we've said we want to find the 5 nearest bus stops and the 5 nearest green spaces. So that's anticipating what the user wants. And what you can also do with the find my nearest is say that we can click on one, it'll find that item and it'll give us a little bit more information as well. So that's a really powerful part of the product that is really good for the user to be able to see information straight away. If users want to export data out of the application, what they can also do is they can do a search by area. So there will be a number of different data sets available to the end user. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I want to export my address base. There are multiple different options in how we can search. We can search via a freehand drawn area. We could select a polygon, so we could select a ward and say we want all the properties within that ward. Or what I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to say that I've got a point and we want to know everything that's within 100 meters of that particular point. So the user would then click on the map, click search, it draws our 100-meter search, and then what you'll see is it tells us the 78 features that have been found. The system lists 25 to a page, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to see all of those results, and then we can view all of these different addresses that have been found based on that search that we've done. So what you could do at this point is you could do an attribute search as well. So we've done our spatial search, but we could be really particular and say that we're only interested in those that have got a certain classification or a certain postcode, and the system will filter out the data so that it makes it easy for us to do a spatial search and then pick anything out that we're after individually. And when we're happy with that, what we could then do is create a download. So this creates a nice little CSV file. We export the data. The system tells us that it's been exported, and then when we open up that CSV file, we'll have the attributes for that particular point, for those particular points, sorry, and the appropriate attributes that have come across as well. We also have tools that are available to use that allow us to draw on the map. So what we can do is annotate the areas that we're interested in. So one of the new features is that once we've annotated, we can actually save these as well. So I'm going to say that this has got a black outline, it's going to have a red fill. We're going to create a new polygon as this user, and we're going to draw the area that we're interested in, double click to finish, and then what I might do is add some text onto there as well. So possible planning application, we can make that bigger and smaller as we see fit. We can drop it on the page, and then what you can do is you can click save, and that particular drawn annotation will now be saved as part of the application. So users can share annotations that they've created and share them across the authority or share them across people so that they can see what they're drawing, or more importantly, they can come back to this later and edit that data as well. So I might say that I've got that polygon wrong, and because I've got it wrong, I want to remove that text as well, so we can delete it. When I save it, it's going to save that as it is. So what we can also do is we can print out a map as well. So I'm going to say that we want to create a print. We've picked a particular area. The print template allows us to say that maybe we want to call this, give it a title, so we're going to call it My First Map. The username we can change. So this is because I've logged into the application, it's picked up on my admin name, but I'm going to change this to my name. And then what we can do is we can add text at the bottom. So maybe we've got a little bit of annotation that we want to add. I want a full print, so I'm going to remove that annotation. We can add a legend to this. So we've had our address-based data turned on. We could show the theme that had been applied to this data set in the top left-hand corner. What we can also do is change the paper size. So at the minute we're printing it to A4, but you might want to change that to A3. And then we can also change the orientation. So rather than portrait, you might want to have it landscape. And then the final output, we can either send that to a printer, or if we click print to PDF, we get a nice little download link. And then what that allows us to do is we can download the PDF, and we've got that accessible for later as well. So that's been a really brief introduction to the new WebMap 9 application, and we've looked at some of the additional functionality that's been added and gone over some of the existing stuff from the WebMap layers application as well.